Here's a question. Which Christians bully homosexuals to the point of them committing suicide? Now, which Eastern Orthodox do that? Now, how many Muslims bully? They don't even need to bully, because no Muslim would dare come out and say they're homosexual. Wouldn't dare. In how many countries is it punishable by death? There are a few Protestant countries like Uganda that have, I don't know if it's a death penalty, but being gay is against the law. In Russia, the pride parades are outlawed. But have you ever been to a pride parade? I know plenty of gay people who hate the pride parade because it is naked people walking down the street and a lot of the most perverse stuff. And as somebody who has gay friends, none of them are perverts. Pride parade, if you look at it, it's a pride of perversion. Not even being proud of being homosexual, which, how the hell can you be proud of something that you had no choice in being? Did you choose to be gay? Is there a gay culture? Now that it's normalized and mainstream and nobody cares about it, you get the loudest noise because people always want to be like the underdog or something like that. But people can tell you, hey, in the 80s, you know, I mean, even in the 70s, people just kind of didn't care that you were gay. But you had a lot of rougher time, and people didn't care if people discriminated against gay people. They were just like, oh yeah, I can understand that. You don't want them around us. And I heard a lie that I was told in high school repeated recently, that 10% of the population is gay. It's incorrect. It's between 1% and 3%, not 10%. Now, there is a such thing as Christophobia. I call it Julianism, where it is a hatred of Christianity, an irrational hatred, to the point of embracing Islam or violent atheism or anti-theism or any other religion besides Christianity. And it also is a fierce ignorance of Christianity. When I actually was very, very, very active and showy about being Orthodox, many people thought I was Hindu because of the prayer ropes and stuff like that. Others thought it was a form of paganism, a strange form of Islam. And these are not people who knew me from the 90s, who would be like, oh, well, you probably moved over into the Sufi sect. No. Sufi's not really a sect. It's more of a... this isn't about Sufism. But this bullshit that, Christians bullying gay people to death. No, it's more like Christians getting bullied by activists saying you're a bigot because you belong to this religion, while remaining completely silent about Judaism and Islam. What worldly punishment is there for homosexuality in Christianity? None. There is none. If you quote me the Old Testament, guess what? you haven't read the Bible, because all of those laws were nailed to a frickin' cross. That's the whole point. It is fulfilled. It is finished. But you know what? The Jews, those laws are still intact. The Quran reinforces that a lot. I mean, a lot. Now, St. Paul saying you shouldn't be a pedophile, and soon they're going to normalize pedophilia. Don't get me wrong, they will. But yeah, there's a lot of nuance in there and whatever. And being gay, it being a sin, I already went through this. The idea of Western sin, transgression of the law, which is not our concept. It's hamartia. It's an archery term meaning to miss the mark. But the bullying goes the other way. It's kind of like the Trump supporters. The Trump supporters, if you said you were a Trump supporter, you'd get so badly bullied and so harped on that when they took a poll, people said, oh yeah, I'm voting for Clinton, because they didn't want to get harassed, right? So that skewed all the polls. Come voting day, when it was a secret ballot, bam, everybody got a wake-up call. Hey, maybe you shouldn't shout down your political opponent, because there's going to be a lot of people standing in the room all saying, oh yeah, we're all Clinton supporters, and every single one of them is a Trump supporter. And that's exactly what happened. And that's exactly what happened with this election. And that's growing a lot more. The louder Antifa gets, the more intolerant this atmosphere gets, the more to the right it's going to go. And the more it's going to get like alt-right, which I don't like. Again, I'm traditionalist. And right and left, and liberal and conservative are spectrums. Right? Everybody nowadays would be a liberal 300 years ago. Right? Almost everyone nowadays would be a conservative in East Germany or the Soviet Union. So, I mean, almost everyone nowadays would be right-wing in the Soviet Union or in East Germany or North Korea. Do you believe in things like free speech, freedom of religion? Do you believe somebody should own a Bible without having the execution of themselves and anybody related to them to the third generation? So like 60 people wiped out, executed for one person owning a Bible or even one page of the Bible. Well, you're right-wing. Right and left, and liberal and conservative it's spectrum. It depends on what you're talking about. Republican parties, most Republican, when you say Republican, that's usually left-wing. In the United States, the Republicans are on the right wing of things, apparently. In Ireland, the Republicans are the far left wing. So, yeah. This whole shit about kids committing suicide because they're being bullied by Christians. Where and when does this happen? And is this a teaching of Christ? Does this come from Christianity? Conversely, does the persecution and execution and bullying and murder of gays, is it taught by Islam? Is it preached in the mosques? Was it taught and preached and acted out by its prophet Muhammad in their canonical sources? These are rhetorical questions you should know the answer to. When we get to a point, and I don't like this expression, love the sinner, hate the sin. I don't like that. But when people say that that's hate speech, even though I think it's a very stupid thing to say, but yet, you know, we should have Sharia law, which means throwing gay people off of a cliff or collapsing a wall on them. It's not beheading, it's throwing off of a cliff. Then yeah, now or look at the radical Jews in Israel that want beheading for homosexuality. And they're growing in population, they're growing in number. But let's blame all Christianity because of people like Ted Haggard, who has had his own church, not even a main faction of Protestantism, not even a main faction of evangelicalism. And there's even churches with rainbow flags outside. The Orthodox Church will never have a rainbow flag outside. It'll have the flag of the United States, and it'll have a flag of the original home country, like the Ukraine, Greece, Syria, Lebanon, Serbia, Russia, maybe. But because the rainbow flag, does that represent gay people or a screwy movement that pretends to speak on behalf of gay people? I mean, do gay people get together and vote and say, this is what gay people think? Now, they always bring on these idiots on the news. What does the gay community think? I thought gays were individuals that could be any type of people from any background and have interest in a wide variety of things. They could be in any religion, basically. Being gay is just incidental. But apparently there's a culture and there's spokespeople for it. So, yeah, so that's why I call bullshit on that jackass Michael Allen and the whole gay culture and Christians bullying gays to death, the suicide. No. And if it did happen, is that ever preached in the Bible? The New Testament. Because remember, the Old Testament got nailed to a cross. But in Israel and in certain Jewish communities here that section themselves off, like the Hasids, as well as the Islamic communities, silence from homosexual groups. Silence. Because of, some call it Christophobia, I call it Julianism. Now I'm going to get a lot of dislikes